I never thought the day would come when I would have to tell this story. My name is Cowie and I am Oa. Rather, I was the guardian of my tribe's sacred lands. Today, when I look back at the ruins of what was once my village, my heart aches in a way no illness could cause. It's a different kind of pain, you know? It's the pain of knowing that I destroyed everything with my own hands, that I betrayed centuries of tradition, trust, history, for money. Yes, you heard right. I sold my tribe's inheritance. I sold the lands my ancestors protected with their lives. And I didn't sell to the right people. I didn't sell thinking about the good of my people. I sold because I was greedy, because I was weak, because I believed in empty promises. And what happened next? Good heavens. What happened next destroyed not only the village, but destroyed families, destroyed lives, destroyed the soul of my people. Today, sitting here in this old chair, in a forgotten corner of what's left of our land, I need to tell this story. I need you to understand how a man can fall so low, how greed can blind even those who should be the guardians of tradition. I need you to know so that perhaps, just perhaps, someone will learn from my mistakes. Let me start from the beginning. I was born in the Yawalapiti village, a small but very close-knit community in the heart of Brazil. Our land has always been our life. It wasn't just the ground we walked on or the trees that shaded us, it was sacred. Every river, every stone, every ancient tree, everything had a story, a spirit, a meaning. My father, Chief Rayoni, taught me from a young age that our greatest responsibility was to protect this land, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. Cowie, he would tell me, in that deep, wise voice, the land doesn't belong to us, we belong to it. We are merely temporary guardians. One day you will pass this on to your children, and they to their children. This is our heritage. This is our soul. I grew up believing in that, truly. When my father died 5 years ago, I took on his role. Not as chief, that role went to my uncle Tupa, but as the official guardian of the lands. It was my responsibility to keep the documents, to know every inch of our property, to defend our rights when necessary. It was a position of extreme trust, and I was proud of it. But life in the village was never easy, especially in recent years. We lived off fishing, hunting, a small cassava plantation, and some handicrafts that the women made and we sold in the nearest town. It was a simple but dignified life. We had peace, we had community, we had each other. Everything started to change about 2 years ago. I remember the exact day. It was a September morning, the sun was rising and painting the sky orange and pink. I was returning from a fishing trip when I saw a car parked at the entrance to the village, a large, black, gleaming car. It wasn't common to see cars like that around here. We usually received visits from NGOs, researchers, people who came in old, dusty pickup trucks. A man in a suit got out of that car. Yes, a suit. In the middle of our village, where everyone wears shorts and t-shirts, or our traditional clothes for ceremonies, his name was Roberto Silva, and he said he was a businessman. He had a big smile, a very big smile. The kind of smile that makes you want to sell something, you know? Hello, hello, he said, extending his hand to me. You must be Cowie, right? I've heard a lot about you, the guardian of the lands, the tribe's trusted man. I shook his hand suspiciously. Who told you about me? Ah, I have my contacts, he said, still smiling. I came here because I have a proposal that could change the lives of your entire community. Can I speak with you and the chief? I called my uncle Tupa. The three of us sat on a large log that served as a bench near the main house. Roberto opened a folder and began showing us papers, numbers, projects. He spoke quickly, using beautiful words that I could barely understand. His proposal was simple. A mining company was interested in a part of our land. Not all of it. He emphasized that, just a part that, according to him, we didn't even use that much. It was at the far north end of our property, where there was a rocky hill that we considered sacred, but which, in practice, nobody went to very often. Look, Roberto said, pointing to numbers on the paper, we're talking about an amount of money that will transform this village. You could have a real school, a health clinic, electricity, internet. Your children could have a future. My uncle Tupa shook his head. We don't sell our land, never. It's sacred. I understand, I respect that, Roberto said, but that smile didn't leave his face. But you're not listening to me. I'm not asking you to leave. You still own everything. It's just a partnership. The company exploits the land for a period. You receive a fortune, and then the land returns to you. Simple as that. No, my uncle said firmly. This discussion is over. Roberto looked at me. Our eyes met, and I saw something in his gaze, a certainty. As if he knew something I didn't. As if he had a plan B, he left that day, but he left me a card. If you change your mind, he whispered to me, call me. The offer still stands. I should have thrown that card away. I should have forgotten that conversation, but I didn't. I kept it in my pocket, and during the following weeks, I found myself thinking about it. About the amount he had mentioned, about the numbers that seemed so big, so impossible for people like us. Because, you see, things weren't going well in the village. Not that we were starving, but it was difficult. The drought had been severe that year, fishing was bad, and some members of the tribe, especially the younger ones, were starting to leave for the city in search of work. I saw mothers crying when their children left. I saw the sadness on the faces of the elders, watching our community dwindle, and I had my own problems. My daughter Ayana was only 8 years old, but she was ill. She had been born with a heart condition. It wasn't serious yet, but the doctor who came to visit the village once a month said she would eventually need surgery. Surgery that would cost more money than I would ever see in my entire life. My wife Iara was always worried. I would see her crying in secret when she thought I wasn't looking. What if Ayana gets worse, Cowie? What if we don't have the money to save our daughter? Those words echoed in my head every night. And that card from Roberto burned in my pocket like a live ember. 2 weeks after that first visit, Roberto returned. But this time, he didn't come to the village. He called me. I don't know how he got my number, but he did, Cowie. His voice sounded friendly on the phone. How are you? Have you thought about my proposal? My uncle said no, I replied, trying to sound firm. I know what your uncle said, but I'm asking what you think. You're the guardian of the lands, aren't you? You have the power to decide. It doesn't work that way, I said. The land belongs to the tribe. The decisions are collective. I understand, he paused. But what about your daughter? Ayana, right? I heard she needs medical treatment. My blood ran cold. How did he know about Ayana? Like you, Cowie? I do my homework. And look, I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm just saying that this could be the solution to all your problems. The money I'm offering could pay for her surgery 10 times over. It could secure her future, her life. I remained silent. My heart was pounding. Think about it, Roberto continued, his voice sweet as poisonous honey. Let's meet. Just you and me, no pressure, just a conversation. How about tomorrow, in the city? I should have said no. I should have hung up and blocked the number. But when you have a sick daughter, when you see your wife crying, when you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders, the temptation becomes too strong. Okay, I heard my own voice saying, tomorrow. The next day, I lied. I told Iara I was going to the city to sort out some paperwork. I met Roberto at a restaurant. He was at a table in the back, with more papers, more numbers, more promises. Sit down, he said, ordering me a beer without even asking if I wanted one. Let's talk like businessmen. For 2 hours, Roberto painted a beautiful picture. He spoke about how responsible the mining company was, how they would do everything sustainably, and how the tribe would be wealthy. He showed photos of other communities that had formed similar partnerships and were now living well. Look here. He showed the photos on his tablet. These indigenous people here have a school, a hospital, everything, and they continue with their traditions. It's possible to have both worlds, Cowie, tradition, and progress. I wanted to believe God, how I wanted to believe. But my uncle will never accept it, I said. Roberto leaned forward, lowering his voice. Cowie, you are the official guardian of the lands. Technically, you have the legal authority to sign documents on behalf of the tribe. It's in the legislation. I checked. That's not right, I said, but my voice came out weak. What's not right is your daughter dying because you didn't have the courage to do what was necessary, Roberto said, and his words were like punches to my gut. Think about it. You sign the papers, receive the money, save your daughter, transform the life of your community. In a few years, when everyone is living well, they will thank you for having had the courage. And what if they don't say thank you? Then you'll be in another city, with your healthy and well-cared-for family, living the life you deserve. Those words should have sounded like an alarm. They should have shown me his true intentions. But I was blind, blinded by concern for Ayana, blinded by the desire to be the savior of my tribe, blinded by the greed for an easier life. How much time do I have to think? Roberto smiled, that damned smile. Until Friday, 3 days. Then the offer is off the table. I spent those 3 days in personal hell. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. I looked at Ayana playing, so innocent, so fragile, and thought, I can save her. I looked at the tribe's elders, so tired, so worn down by a life of struggle, and thought, I can give them a better life. But I also looked at the land, at the trees my grandfather planted, at the river where my father taught me to fish, and a small voice inside me cried out, don't do it, don't betray everything you are. On Thursday night, Ayana had a crisis. She fainted during dinner. We had to rush her to the hospital in the city. The doctors said she needed surgery soon, that we couldn't postpone it any longer. How much does it cost? I asked, already knowing that I wouldn't get the answer I wanted to hear. The doctor gave me a number, an impossible number. 6 digits. Ayara cried the whole way back. Ayana slept in the back seat, pale, so small and fragile. What are we going to do, Kawi? Iara sobbed. Our daughter is going to die and we can't do anything. That night, I made the worst decision of my life. I called Roberto. Oh, I accept. He simply said, excellent. His voice was excited. You won't regret it. We'll meet at the registry office tomorrow. I'll take care of everything. You just need to sign. The money, ... double quotes. My voice trembled. Half tomorrow. Half when we start operations. 50 million reais, Kawe. 50 million. Your life has just changed. 50 million. I had never even seen 1,000 reais together in my life. And now, I was talking about 50 million. I didn't tell anyone. Not Iara, not my uncle, not the elders. On Friday, I said I was going to the city again. I met Roberto at the registry office he had indicated. There were papers, so many papers, pages and pages of legal texts that I could barely understand. Roberto kept showing me where I had to sign. This is just a formality, he said, standard contract. Everything we discussed is here. I should have read it. I should have taken it to a lawyer. I should have asked for time, but I did none of that. I just signed. In each yellow mark he made, I put my name, my signature, my seal of betrayal. When I finished, Roberto opened a briefcase. Inside was money. Lots of money. 100 real notes, organized in bundles. 25 million, he said. Count it if you want. I didn't count. I just looked at that briefcase, feeling a mixture of relief and nausea. When does the operation begin? I asked. In 2 weeks, we'll bring equipment and teams. There will be a bit of noise at first, but soon you won't even notice. And remember, don't tell anyone about the money yet. Let things settle down first, then you can explain everything. I should have realized, I should have understood that when someone asks you to keep a secret, it's because something is wrong. But I just wanted to get out of there. I grabbed the briefcase, shook his hand, and left. In the car, on the way home, I stopped on the road. I opened the briefcase again and looked at the money. There was so much I could do. Ayana's surgery, a better house, help the tribe, but why were my hands shaking? Why did I feel like I was going to vomit? I hid the money in a safe place before returning to the village. I arrived home and hugged Ayana tightly. She laughed. Dad, is everything all right? She asked in that sweet voice. Yes, my daughter, everything's fine. You're going to get better, Daddy promises. Iara looked at me confused, but didn't say anything. That night, I tried to sleep, but couldn't. I lay staring at the ceiling of our hut, listening to the sounds of the forest outside. The same sounds that had lulled my father, my grandfather, my ancestors for generations. And I had sold all of that. 10 days passed. 10 days of anxiety, of lies, of hiding the biggest secret of my life. I scheduled Ayana's surgery for a month later. I told Ayara that I had gotten help from an NGO. She was so happy that she didn't question it much. But the weight of guilt was killing me inside. And then, on a Monday morning, they arrived. Trucks, tractors, excavators, men in helmets. They entered our land like an invading army, heading straight for the sacred hill in the north. The whole village came out to see. Everyone was confused, scared. My uncle Tupa came running to me. "Kawe, what's going on? Who are these people?" I tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come out. One of the men got out of the truck and came over to us with a piece of paper in his hand. "Who's the chief here?" he asked, completely rudely. "It's me," my uncle said. "Get out of our land now." "We can't do that," the man said, showing the paper. "We have legal authorization. A contract signed by the official guardian of the land, Kawi. Everything is in order. Everything is legal." All eyes turned to me. The silence that followed was the heaviest of my life. "Kawi," my uncle said, and I'll never forget his tone of voice. It wasn't anger. It was disappointment, pain, betrayal. "What did you do?" And it was at that moment, seeing the eyes of my tribe on me, seeing the tractors beginning to climb the sacred hill, seeing the exhaust fumes polluting our clear sky. It was at that moment that I understood the magnitude of what I had done. I hadn't saved my tribe. I had destroyed it. Have you ever seen disappointment in the eyes of someone you love? Not anger, not hatred, but that look that says, "I trusted you, and you destroyed me?" That's what I saw in my Uncle Tupa's face. And not only in his. In every face of my tribe, men who grew up with me, women who saw me born, children who called me uncle, they all looked at me as if I were a stranger. A traitor. I answered a question. The man in the truck repeated, tapping the paper. "It's all signed here. Kawi authorized our operation. We're going to extract ore from this hill for the next 5 years. Then we'll return the land. 5 years. My uncle exploded. "Kawi, you gave our sacred land to these men for 5 years? I still couldn't speak. My throat was closed up, but 5 years? Roberto had said it would be less time. He had said it would be quick, discreet. "Let me see that paper," I demanded. Taking the document from the man's hands, I started reading, and with each line my heart sank deeper. That wasn't the contract I thought I'd signed. Or rather, it was, but I hadn't understood anything written in that complicated legal language. The mining company wasn't just going to stay for 5 years. The initial contract was for 5 years, but it had automatic renewal clauses that could extend it to 15, 20 years. They weren't just going to exploit the hill. They had the right to expand the operating area as needed, which meant they could move into other parts of our land. And worse, there was a clause stating that the tribe could not interfere, protest, or obstruct the operations in any way. Under penalty of fines and legal sanctions, no, ... double quotes. I whispered, "No, no, no, that's not what he said, ... double quotes, who said what?" My uncle snatched the paper from my hand. His eyes darted across the pages, and I saw the color drain from his face. "Kawi, you sold our land? Sold IT? No, that's not how it was." I finally found my voice. It was a partnership. He said it was a partnership. That you would receive money, that we would be able to have a school, a hospital, that Ayana would be able to have the surgery, ... double quotes, Ayana. Iara appeared from the crowd, holding our daughter's hand. What does Ayana have to do with this? Tears began to stream down my face. She needs surgery, expensive surgery. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was saving her, saving all of us. The silence that followed was broken by a horrible sound. The sound of tractors beginning to excavate the hill, the sound of trees being uprooted, the sound of our history being destroyed. "Stop!" my uncle shouted, running towards the tractors. "Stop, now!" Several men from the tribe ran after him. Women screamed. Children cried, frightened by the noise and the commotion. But the tractors didn't stop. They had a signed document. They had the law on their side. And I had given that to them. One of the mining company's security guards, a huge man with a grumpy face, blocked my uncle's path. "Sir, you need to back down. We have legal authorization. Any interference will be considered a crime." Crime? My uncle was beside himself. "The crime is what you are doing. This land is sacred. Our ancestors are buried here. I'm sorry, But that's a problem between you and whoever signed the contract, the security guard said, looking directly at me. And again, all eyes turned to me. At that moment, I wanted to disappear. I wanted the earth to swallow me whole. I wished I had never been born. Iara came to me, and for the first time in 10 years of marriage, I saw genuine anger in her eyes. You did this behind our backs. His voice was low, dangerously low. You sold our ancestral land without consulting anyone. Without consulting me? I was going to tell you. I just wanted to make sure the money came first, so we could ... double quotes money. She almost shouted, "Do you think this is about money? Our daughter needs surgery? Yes, but not at the cost of our people's souls. We'd find a way. We always find a way. But this time, it wasn't going to work." I yelled back, all my frustration and guilt exploding. This time, it was different. The doctor said we can't wait. She could die, Yara. Our daughter could die. Silence returned. Ayana, who was only 8 years old but understood more than we imagined, began to cry. "Daddy ... double quotes," she sobbed. "Am I going to die?" My heart broke into 1,000 pieces. Iara picked Ayana up and turned her back on me. "You didn't do it for her," Iara said, without looking at me. "You did it for yourself. To feel like the hero, the savior, but all you are now is a traitor." She left, taking Ayana with her, and I was left there, alone in the middle of my tribe, watching everything crumble. My uncle Tupa approached, his hands were trembling, and I didn't know if it was from anger or sadness. "Your father," he began, his voice choked with emotion. "Your father made me promise that I would take care of you, that I would teach you to be a man of honor, that I would prepare you to be the guardian our tribe needed." Tears streamed down his wrinkled face. I spoke to him. "I failed you. I failed everyone. Uncle, no ... I tried to touch his arm, but he moved away. "Don't touch me," he said. "You are no longer the guardian of these lands. You are no longer welcome in the Council of Elders. And if it were up to me alone, you would no longer be welcome in this village." Those words were like knives. "Uncle, please, let me explain ... double quotes. There's no explanation," he said. "You betrayed your tribe, you betrayed your ancestors. You betrayed your father's memory." He turned to leave, but stopped and looked back one last time. "The worst part is that you betrayed yourself. And that, nephew, that's what you'll carry for the rest of your life." In the days that followed, the village descended into chaos. Tractors worked day and night. The noise was deafening. Dust covered everything. Centuries-old trees were felled as if they were nothing. The river began to become murky because of the soil that slid down the hill, and the first I was a ghost. Nobody spoke to me. When I passed by, people looked away. The children, who used to run to hug me, now hid behind their mothers. Even Ayara barely spoke to me. I tried to talk to Roberto several times. I called, I sent messages, but he didn't answer. When I finally managed to speak to him, a week after everything started, his voice no longer had that deceptive sweetness. "What do you want, Cowie?" he said impatiently. "You tricked me." I yelled into the phone, "The contract isn't what you said. You said it would be quick, discreet, that my tribe would be fine. I didn't deceive you. You signed the contract. It's not my fault if you didn't read it, but you said ... I have no documentation of what I said," he interrupted. "I only have what you signed, and legally, everything is correct. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do."
"Wait.
"What about the rest of the money? You said you were going to pay the other half?" He laughed, as if I had told a joke. "The remainder of the payment is according to schedule. Read Clause 47B. You will receive payments in annual installments as extraction targets are met. It may take 5 or 6 years before you see everything, but my daughter needs surgery now. That's your problem. You've already received 25 million if you spent it wrongly. It's not my fault. I haven't spent anything yet." I was waiting to ... but he had already hung up. I stared at my phone, feeling a rage I'd never felt before. I'd been deceived, completely deceived. And the worst part, I let myself be deceived because I wanted to, because I was greedy, because I thought I knew more than my uncle, than the elders, than centuries of wisdom from my ancestors. 2 weeks after the start of the operation, the first tragedy occurred. It was dawn when I heard the screams. I ran out of my hut and saw smoke coming from the river. Lots of smoke. The dam that the mining company had built to divert part of the river and facilitate extraction had broken. Dirty water, full of chemicals and sediment, was rushing down forcefully, flooding part of the village. The house of the elder Yuri, which was near the river, was hit directly. When we arrived, he was trapped under the rubble. It took us almost an hour to get him out of there. When we finally managed to, he was alive, but in bad shape. Very bad. He had a broken leg and was having trouble breathing. "We need to get him to the hospital," I shouted. But the bridge we used to cross the river and get to the road had been destroyed by the force of the water. We were stranded. I called the mining company, I called Roberto, I called everyone. No one answered in the middle of the night. Elder Yuri died at dawn, in his daughter's arms, because we couldn't get help in time. The funeral was 2 days later. The entire tribe was present, except for the mining company's teams, who continued their work as if nothing had happened. During the ceremony, the elder Yuri's son, a man named Kaio, stood up and pointed at me. "He's here," Kaio shouted. "The man who killed my father is here, attending the funeral, as if he has the right to." "Kaio, I'm so sorry, double quotes. I tried to say, "Are you sorry?" He came towards me, and other men had to hold him back. "My father died because that damned company broke the dam. And that company is here because you sold our land. My father's blood is on your hands." I couldn't answer because he was right, completely right. "Get out of here," my uncle Tupa said, calmly but firmly. "You are not welcome at this ceremony." I left. I returned to my hut with my head down, Kaio's shouts echoing behind me. Iara was inside, packing her and Ayana's bags. "What are you doing?" I asked, already knowing the answer but not wanting to believe it. "I'm going to my mother's house." "In the neighboring village." "Iara, no, I can't stay here anymore, Kawi," she said. And there was no anger in her voice now, just weariness, a deep sadness. "Every time I look at you, I see the man who destroyed our home. I see the man who, no matter what he says he did for our daughter, actually did it out of pride, out of greed. I can fix this." I cried out in despair. "I have money. I can pay for Ayana's surgery. I can help rebuild Yuri's house. I can, double quotes, money doesn't fix everything," she shouted, and it was the first time I'd seen her lose control like that. "Money doesn't bring back Elder Yuri. Money doesn't clean up our river. Money doesn't restore our sacred trees. Money doesn't restore the trust everyone had in you." She picked up the last bag and called Ayana, who was sitting quietly in a corner, processing everything that an 8-year-old shouldn't have to process. "Ayana," I tried to approach her. "Daughter, Daddy will fix everything, okay? Daddy promises." But Ayana moved away from me. For the first time in her life, my daughter moved away from my touch. "You lied," she said in that small voice. "You said you always had to tell the truth. But you lied to Mommy, you lied to Uncle Tupa, you lied to everyone. Ayana, I don't want to be with you," she said. And those words hurt the most in this whole story. More than my uncle's disappointed look, more than Kaio's screams, more than anything, my own daughter didn't want to stay with me. Iara took Ayana by the hand and headed towards the door. "When you have a real plan to fix what you've done," she said without looking back, "when you have more than money to offer, when you have your soul back, maybe we'll talk, but until then, stay away from us." And they left. I stood there alone in my empty hut, feeling the full weight of what I had done. In the following days, the situation only worsened. The mining company brought in more equipment and more men. Dust was everywhere. Many people from the tribe began to have respiratory problems. The children were constantly coughing. The river water, which had always been crystal clear, was now brown and tasted of metal. I tried to use the money to help. I bought water filters for the village. I paid for medical treatment for those who were sick. I offered to rebuild the bridge, but nobody wanted anything from me. Some even spat on the ground when I passed by. A month after the start of operations, I received a notification. The mining company was suing me, prosecuting. Why? I asked the lawyer who came to deliver the papers. You have been speaking ill of the company on social media and to the press, causing damage to its reputation. And you have incited members of the tribe to protest against the operations, which violates the non-interference clause of the contract, but I have the right to complain. They killed an elder from my tribe. According to the company's investigation, the dam breach was a natural accident caused by unpredictable geological instability. They are not at fault, and if you continue with these unfounded accusations, the defamation lawsuit will proceed. The fine is 10 million reais, 10 million, almost half of what I had received. I was being attacked from all sides. The tribe hated me, my family abandoned me, and now the company that cheated me was suing me. That night, I sat on the bank of the polluted river, staring at the dirty water, and seriously considered ending it all. Just getting into the river and letting the current carry me away. It would be easier than facing the monstrosity of what I had done. But then I remembered my father's words, spoken so many years ago, "Son, a man is not measured by the mistakes he makes. Everyone makes mistakes. A man is measured by what he does after the mistake, whether he runs away or whether he fights to fix it." I had made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I destroyed everything I loved, but I was still alive. I still had resources. I still had the possibility to fight. I didn't know how. I didn't know if I could do it. But that night, sitting on the edge of that devastated river, I made a promise to myself, to my dead father, to my tribe, to my daughter. I was going to fix this. Even if it cost me everything, even if it cost me my life. I was going to bring justice to my people, and that damned company was going to pay for what it had done. The first thing I did the next morning was seek help. Real help. I couldn't do it alone, and I finally understood that my pride had been part of the problem from the start. I went to the city and looked for the office of FUNAI, the National Indian Foundation. The receptionist looked at me with that tired expression of someone who has seen too many sad stories. "I need to speak to someone about an illegal contract," he told her. "A mining company is destroying my village." She made me wait 3 hours. 3 hours sitting in those hard plastic chairs, watching people come and go, each with their own tragedy. When I was finally called, I found a middle-aged man, gray hair, glasses, perched on the tip of his nose. His name was Dr. Enrique. "So," he said, leafing through the papers I brought, "you signed a mineral exploration contract without consulting the tribe, without an assembly, without anything." "Yes," I admitted, feeling the shame burn my face. "You know this is illegal, don't you? Indigenous lands have constitutional protection. They cannot be sold or exploited like this, even if the guardian signs. It requires congressional approval. Impact studies, prior consultation, ... double quotes. My heart skipped a beat. "So the contract is invalid?" "Probably yes," he said, but his expression wasn't optimistic. "The problem is proving it. These companies are clever. They probably have forged documents, fake meeting minutes, bribed witnesses, and they have expensive lawyers. Very expensive. But I have money now," he said quickly. "I can pay for lawyers too." Dr. Enrique looked at me with a mixture of pity and respect. "This will cost you everything you have, and more, and even then it could take years. Are you prepared for that?" I thought of Ayara, of Ayana, of my tribe, of the dead elder Yuri. "Yes," he said firmly, "I am," he sighed. "Okay, I'll connect you with a lawyer who works on cases like this. Dr. Beatrice, she's good. And she's fair. But be prepared, it's a long road." I met Dr. Beatrice the next day. She was a short, strong woman with piercing dark eyes and a direct way of speaking that reminded me of the matriarchs of my tribe. "Your case is complicated," she said after reviewing everything. "You did sign it. Your signature is there. But there are clear irregularities, lack of prior consultation, lack of adequate environmental studies, abusive clauses. We can work with that. How long will it take? Years? 2? 3? Maybe more. And it's going to be expensive. We're talking about at least 5 million just to start. 5 million. A quarter of what I had received. But what was that money compared to repairing the damage I had done? "You can start tomorrow," he told her. And so began my war against the Vale du Sol mining company. A war that I had started by signing that damned contract, but which was now going to end the right way. Dr. Beatrice filed a lawsuit requesting the annulment of the contract and the immediate cessation of operations. The mining company responded with a barrage of appeals, documents, and its own lawsuits against me. But while the legal battle unfolded in the courts, something was happening in the village, something I didn't expect. 2 months after it all began, I returned to the village to try to speak with my uncle Tupa. I needed him and the elders to testify in the proceedings, confirming that there had never been an assembly, never a consultation. I found the village in an even worse state. Mining dusts covered everything. Several people were sick, and there was tension in the air, a lot of tension. Cowie, a young man named Taruma, stopped me when I entered the village. "We need to talk about what's happening here. About how we're going to stop this." He led me to a group of young people from the tribe gathered in one of the huts. There were about 20, maybe 30, mostly men, but also some women, all with serious expressions. "We are planning an action," Taruma said. "We will block access to the mine. We will chain our bodies to the machines, if necessary. We cannot let them continue destroying our land." "Wait," he said, raising his hands. "I understand your anger, but I've already filed a lawsuit. I have lawyers working on it. Justice will prevail." "Justice?" a young woman named Miara interrupted with a bitter laugh. "The same justice that allowed you to sell our land? The same justice that did nothing when Elder Yuri died? That justice, it takes time," I tried to explain. "But it's the right way, ... We don't have time," Taruma said. "Every day that passes, they destroy more. Look at our river, look at our trees. In 2 months, they've done more damage than centuries of life have done. If we wait for justice, there won't be anything left to save." They were right. I knew they were. But I also knew that if they resorted to direct confrontation, people would get hurt, or worse. "Give me more time," I pleaded. "1 more month." Dr. Beatrice said she'd be able to get an injunction, ... double quotes. "No," Miara said firmly. "Enough waiting, enough trusting you. You lost that right when you betrayed us." The words hurt, but they were fair. "Then at least let me help," I insisted. "You're going to need media coverage, press coverage. I'm going to contact journalists. I'm going to make some noise. If you're going to do this, let's do it right." Taruma and Miara exchanged glances. Finally, Taruma nodded. "Okay, but you're not participating in the blockade. You don't deserve to be on the front lines with us. You stay behind the scenes." I accepted. I had no choice, and frankly, they were right. I didn't deserve to be by their side after what I did. In the following days, I used my money and contacts I made through Dr. Beatrice to bring in journalists, people from TV, newspapers, news websites. I told the whole story, my shame, my betrayal, but also the irregularities of the mining company, the death of the elder Yuri, the environmental destruction. The story began to gain traction on social media, on TV, in newspapers. "Mining company destroys indigenous land with fraudulent contract," read one headline. "Elder dies in unauthorized dam collapse," said another. Public pressure began to mount. And the Vale du Sol Mining Company didn't like that one bit. One night, I received a call. It was from an unknown number. Cowie, the voice on the other end, was deep and threatening. "You need to stop this. Stop talking to the press. Stop the lawsuit. Stop now. Who are you? Someone is trying to help you. The company is very angry. If you continue, bad things could happen. To you, to your family." My blood ran cold. "Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. You have a sick daughter, don't you? It would be a shame if she couldn't get the treatment she needs. ... I hung up immediately and called Iara desperate. "Iara, are you both all right? You and Ayana?" "We are," she said, confused by my desperation. "Why?" I told her about the phone call. I heard her take a deep breath on the other end. "Cowie, what have you gotten us into? I will protect you, I promised. I will hire security. I will ... I don't want your safety. I want you to finish what you started. To take down this damned company. It's the only way to truly protect us." And she hung up. She was right. Once again, she was right. She couldn't back down now. She had to go all the way. A week later, the tribe's youths staged the blockade. One morning, they positioned themselves at the mine entrance, chained to each other with banners and signs. I had warned the press, and when dawn broke, there were cameras everywhere. The mining company sent security guards. Big, intimidating men. There was pushing and shoving, shouting, tension. But the young people did not back down. Taruma, Mayara, and the others stood firm, singing traditional songs, praying in our ancestral language. The images circulated throughout the country. Young, peaceful indigenous people resisting armed men from a large corporation. Public opinion turned completely against the Vale du Sol mining company. 2 days later, we obtained the injunction. The judge ordered the immediate halt of all operations until the case was properly investigated. When the news arrived, the whole village celebrated. For the first time in months, I saw smiles on the faces of my people. I saw hope, but I knew it was only the beginning. The mining company wasn't going to give up so easily, and I was right. A week after the injunction, Roberto showed up in the village, but not alone. He brought lawyers, people in suits, and some members of the tribe that I didn't expect to see on his side. Among them was Caio, the son of the elder Yuri, the same one who had accused me of killing his father. "What's going on here?" I asked, confused. Roberto smiled, that smile I had learned to hate. "I came to bring a proposal. A better proposal, knowing that there is dissatisfaction with the previous terms, the company decided to renegotiate." He opened a folder and began showing numbers. Numbers even bigger than before. 100 million for the tribe, new school, hospital, roads, everything documented, everything legal this time. "And there's more," Roberto said. "The company will pay 5 million in compensation to the family of the elderly Yuri as a gesture of goodwill for the tragic accident." I saw Caio's eyes light up. 5 million. For a man who had never had anything, who had just lost his father, who had a family to support, it was too tempting. "Caio," I called to him. "You can't be considering this. They killed your father." "It was an accident," Caio said, but he wouldn't look me in the eye. "And 5 million won't bring my father back, but it can give my children a future." "The children of the tribe," Roberto continued. "Several families have already agreed. We already have signatures from 40% of the adult tribe. With another 10%, we can hold a valid assembly and overturn the injunction." I looked around. There were more people there, people I knew, people who were tired, sick, desperate, and the mining company was offering a way out. An expensive, tempting way out. "You can't do this," he told everyone. "They're buying you off. This won't end well." "And who are you to speak?" a voice said from the back. It was an elderly woman, one of the matriarchs. "You were the first to sell, the first to betray. Now that you're repentant, you want everyone to be a martyr. At least now the offer is better. But don't you understand?" He was almost pleading. "It's not about the money. It's about our land, our soul, our future." "Future?" Caio finally looked me in the eyes. "What future? Look around, Cowie. The girl is already here. The damage is already done. At least now we can receive enough to rebuild our lives somewhere else." "Somewhere else," I repeated, shocked. "You want to abandon our ancestral land?" "You've already destroyed her," Caio said bitterly. "Now we're just trying to salvage what we can." Roberto was loving it. I could see it in his eyes. He had created the perfect division. He had turned the tribe against itself. And he was using me, my mistake, my betrayal, as the weapon. That night, there was an assembly. The first real assembly since it all began. And for the first time, the tribe was divided. On one side were the older people and the young people who had formed the blockade. They wanted to continue fighting. They wanted to expel the mining company. They wanted to preserve the land. On the other side, there were tired families, sick people, and those who saw the mining company's money as the only solution to their problems. My uncle Tupa tried to mediate, tried to bring wisdom, but even he was tired. I saw it in his eyes. Years of struggle, of resistance, of trying to keep the tribe united. And now this. The vote was close, very close. And when the votes were counted, the result shocked me. The tribe had voted to accept the mining company's new proposal. By a margin of just 7 votes, my people had decided to sell their souls. I had started this destruction all by myself, with my signature on a contract, and now, the entire tribe was finishing the job. I left that assembly in shock. I wandered aimlessly through the village until I reached the most sacred place that remained, a centuries-old tree where my father had been buried. I sat under her and cried. I cried like I'd never cried in my life. "Father," I whispered to the night, "I destroyed everything. Everything you built, everything you taught me, and now I don't know what to do anymore." The wind rustled the leaves of the tree, and for a moment, I swear I heard my father's voice. "Get up, son. As long as you are alive, as long as this tree is still standing, there is still hope. There is still a fight." I don't know if it was real or my imagination, but at that moment, something inside me changed. I had started this destruction, but it wasn't going to end like this. Even if the tribe had given up, even if everyone had been bought, even if I were alone, I was going to fight. Because I discovered something during those hellish months. There was an irregularity in the mining company's documents, something that Dr. Beatrice had found, something that could change everything. And I was going to use it. I was going to use it until my last drop of strength, until my last penny, until my last breath. The war was not over. It had only just begun. For real. The morning after that devastating assembly, I woke up with the determination of a man who had nothing left to lose. The tribe had voted to accept the mining company's money, but I still had an ace up my sleeve. An ace that Dr. Beatrice had discovered and that I had kept as a last resort. I went straight to the city, straight to her office. When I arrived, she was surrounded by papers, with that concentrated expression of someone who had spent the night working. "Cowie," she said when she saw me, "I heard about the vote. I'm sorry. I don't want pity," I replied. "I want justice. You said you found something big. It's time to use it." She nodded and opened a folder full of documents. Investigating the Vale Soul Mining Company, I discovered that the company has a terrible history. 3 cases of environmental disasters in other regions, all covered up with bribery. But more importantly, double quotes, she showed me a specific document. Their environmental license is fake. How so? Forged. The protocol number doesn't exist in IBAM's system. They literally invented a license to be able to operate, and there's more. Roberto Silva, the man who contacted you, isn't even an official employee of the company. He's an intermediary, a middleman who does the dirty work. I felt a mixture of anger and hope. Is this enough to bring them down? If we can prove it, we will not only stop the operation but also put a lot of people in jail. But we need physical evidence. We need the original license they presented. How are we going to achieve this? Dr. Beatrice looked at me seriously. That's the difficult part. They keep those documents in their central office, in safes. It would require a search warrant. And to get a warrant, we need to convince a judge that there is sufficient crime to justify it. And do we have it? We have strong evidence. But with the lobbying power this company has, with their lawyers, with the money they handle, it's not going to be easy. I ran my hands over my face. Nothing was ever easy, but I had to try. "Do whatever you have to do," he told her. "Spend whatever it takes. This is our last shot." For the next 2 weeks, Dr. Beatrice worked tirelessly. She gathered evidence, built a case, and coordinated with public prosecutors. I used my contacts in the press to maintain public pressure. Every day there was a new story about the crimes of the Vale Soul Mining Company. The company reacted furiously. More lawsuits against me, more threats. One night, returning from Dr. Beatrice's office, I was followed. A black car chased me for miles. They didn't do anything, they just wanted to scare me, and it worked. I spent the whole night awake, afraid. But I didn't back down. Finally, we succeeded. A federal judge, known for his integrity and resistance to corruption, issued the search and seizure warrant. The federal police carried out a surprise operation at the headquarters of the Vale Soul Mining Company. And they found exactly what we were looking for. Not only was the environmental permit fake, but they uncovered an entire corruption network. Documents showed payments to public officials, fraudulent contracts with other indigenous communities, and evidence of environmental crimes on a national scale. The operation made headlines across the country. Megaporation dismantles illegal mining scheme on indigenous lands. Roberto Silva was arrested. The president of the mining company was arrested. Dozens of people were arrested. And all of the company's operations within the country were immediately suspended. When the news reached the village, I was there. I saw the exact moment when one of the young men, running with his cell phone in hand, shouted, "We did it." The mining company was brought down. They were arrested. The initial silence was replaced by shouts of joy, people crying, hugging each other, children jumping around, not quite understanding what was happening, but feeling the energy of hope in the air. I saw my uncle Tupa, that strong man who rarely showed emotion, fall to his knees and cry. Cry from relief, from exhaustion, from gratitude. Taruma and Mayara, the young people who had led the blockade, came running towards me. "Cowie, you did it. You really did it." But I shook my head. It wasn't me. It was Dr. Beatrice. It was the federal police. It was you who had the courage to do the blocking. I just tried to fix the mistake I made. But you did it, Miara said with tears in her eyes. When everyone else gave up, when even your own tribe voted to sell, you persevered. That means something. Perhaps it did mean something. But it still didn't erase what I had done. In the following days, justice began to work. The contract I had signed was The families who had accepted the mining company's offer returned the money they had received as a down payment money that we later discovered also came from illegal sources. The company was forced to create an environmental recovery plan. Experts came to the village to assess the damage. The river would have to be cleaned up. The sacred hill, it would take years, perhaps decades. But it was possible to recover a good part of what had been destroyed. But not everything had a happy ending. The elder Yuri was still dead. No amount of justice could bring him back. The tribe's trust had been broken. Even with the victory, there were scars, divided families, resentments, and I was still the man who had betrayed everyone. A month after everything was legally resolved, I requested a meeting with the Council of Elders. My uncle Tupa was there, along with the other leaders. I entered the assembly hall with my head bowed. I knelt before them, a traditional gesture of humility and a plea for forgiveness. "I've come here," I began, my voice choked with emotion, "not to ask you to forget what I did, because that is unforgivable. I've come to say that I understand if you want to banish me from the tribe, if you want me to leave and never come back, I would accept that as fair." The silence hung heavy for long minutes. Finally, one of the elders, the matriarch, Yara, spoke. "Cowie, you have committed the worst crime anyone from our tribe can commit. You betrayed the sacred trust that was placed in you. You sold our inheritance for money." Each word was like a stab in the back, but they were truths I needed to hear. "But," she continued, "you also did something that few have the courage to do. You acknowledged your mistake. You fought to correct it. You spent everything you had earned wrongly to do what was right, and in the end, it was your persistence that saved our land." She stood up and came over to me, placing her wrinkled hand on my head. "Our ancestors taught us that every man can fall, but a true man is one who gets back up. You fell very low, Cowie, lower than I thought possible, but you got up, and you fought." Tears streamed down my face. "You will no longer be the guardian of the lands," she said. "That trust is lost. But you are still part of this tribe. You are still our brother, and we hope you will use the rest of your life to honor the second chance we are giving you." I couldn't speak, I could only cry and give thanks between sobs. My uncle Tupa came closer and helped me up. We hugged, and in that hug was everything: the disappointment, the pain, but also forgiveness, the hope. "Your father would be proud," he whispered in my ear. "Not of what you did, but of how you fought to fix it." But the most important forgiveness was still missing. The forgiveness of my own family. I went to the neighboring village where Iara and Ayana were living. I knocked on my mother-in-law's door, my heart pounding. Iara opened the door. When she saw me, her expression was unreadable. "May I come in?" I asked. She hesitated, but nodded. We sat at the kitchen table. Ayana was in her room, doing her homework. I heard Iara said, "I heard you managed to bring down the mining company, that you saved the village." "I didn't save anything," I replied. "I only tried to fix what I destroyed." Silence. "Iara, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I need you to know that every wrong thing I did because I was desperate to save our daughter. It's not an excuse, it's just the truth. I know, she said softly. I know it was for Ayana. But Cowie, you didn't understand the most important thing. Our daughter doesn't just need medical treatment. She needs an upright father, an example, someone she can admire. And I destroyed it. I admit it. You destroyed it. She agreed. But you're rebuilding. Ayana saw the news. She saw you on TV, fighting against the mining company. She saw you being called a hero by some journalists. I'm not a hero. No, it's not, Iara agreed. But he's trying to be a good man again. And that means something. She took a deep breath. I'm not coming back to you now. Not yet. There's too much broken between us. But we can start over slowly. You can visit Ayana. You can be her father again. And maybe, with time, we'll figure out if we can still be a family. It was more than I deserved, much more. And what about her surgery? I asked. I still have money. I can pay for it, ... It's already scheduled, Iara said with a small smile. The NGO that learned about our story through the news decided to sponsor it. It will be next month. My heart filled with relief and gratitude. Ayana was going to be okay. No dirty money, no deals with the devil, the right way. Ayana appeared in the doorway of the room. When she saw me, her eyes lit up, but there was still a sense of caution. Hi, Dad. Hi, my daughter. Did you win against the bad company? We won. Many people fought. I just did my part. She slowly came up to me. You did something bad, didn't you? At first, always straight to the point. That was one of her characteristics. I did it was very bad. And I hurt a lot of people I love, but then you fixed it. I tried. I think I succeeded. A little, she thought for a moment, with that seriousness that children sometimes have. Then she opened her arms. Okay, I forgive you. I hugged my daughter and cried. I cried all the tears I had held back, all the pain, all the guilt, all the relief. A child's forgiveness is like that, simple, pure. It doesn't erase the mistake, but it gives a new chance. In the following months, I worked hard on rebuilding the village. I used the money that was left over after paying all the legal costs to help with reforestation, cleaning up the river, and rebuilding the bridge. But I didn't do anything alone. I didn't make any decisions alone. Everything was taken to the council, discussed, voted on. I had learned my lesson. Ayana's surgery was a success. I saw my daughter come out of the operating room, pale but alive, with a future ahead of her. And I knew that, despite everything, despite all the mistakes, at least this had worked out. Iara and I started rebuilding our relationship slowly, with therapy, with difficult conversations, with a lot of patience. I don't know if we'll go back to being what we were. Maybe that's impossible, but we're building something new, something more honest, stronger. The village gradually came back to life. The river began to clear again. The trees were replanted. The mining company's machinery was removed. The sacred hill, though wounded, began its healing process. And I learned something fundamental. Money can buy many things, but it can't buy peace of mind. It can't buy integrity. It can't buy back lost trust. A year later, on the anniversary of Elder Yuri's death, the tribe held a ceremony in his honor. We planted a tree in his memory, right where his house had been destroyed by the flood. Chio, his son, was there. We looked at each other, and there was understanding between us. We had both been tempted by the mining company's money. We both had our scars. Your father was a wise man, she told him. He deserved a better ending. We all deserve better endings than we got, Kyo replied. But we learn, don't we? We learn that some things are priceless. Today, when I look back at everything that happened, I still feel ashamed. I still feel guilty. There are nights I can't sleep, going over every wrong decision I made. But I also learned things I will never forget. I learned that greed is a poison that creeps in slowly, disguised as a solution to our problems. I learned that when someone offers something that seems too good to be true, it probably is a lie. I learned that our traditions, our land, our community, these things that seem abstract when compared to money in our pockets, are actually the only truly valuable things we have. I learned that a mistake, no matter how big, doesn't have to define who we are forever. But fixing it requires far more courage than making it. And I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, it means choosing to move forward despite the pain. My name is Cowie. I am an indigenous person from the Yawalapiti tribe, and I sold my tribe's inheritance to the wrong people. What happened next nearly destroyed my village, destroyed my family, destroyed my soul. But it also taught me who I really want to be. I am no longer the guardian of the lands, but I am now the guardian of something more important, the guardian of the memory of what happened, the guardian of the lesson I learned. And I tell this story not to be forgiven, not to be called a hero. I tell it so that perhaps someone, somewhere, who is being tempted in the same way I was, will stop and think. Think about what really matters. Think about what money can and cannot buy. Think about the generations that came before and those that will come after. Because, in the end, we own nothing on this earth. We are merely temporary guardians. And the only legacy truly worth leaving isn't measured in money. It is measured in integrity, in preserved land, in traditions kept alive, in children who grow up knowing who they are and where they came from. This is my story, my confession, my warning. And if you learn something from my mistakes, then maybe, just maybe, all this pain will have been worth it.